Informative, educational, objective, inclusive, comprehensive. This is Progress Report. Updates and conversations from the Government Information Service.
Good day and welcome to another episode of Progress Report. My name is Ivan Kana and this is the star of the show. I am the Robin to her Batman and all this good stuff. Miss Gleneva Hodge, we are again, man, we're in season 3. Just imagine, season 3.
Yes.
So, season 3. I said 3 just now and I just remember that.
I avoid saying it.
You avoid saying it?
Yeah.
So this...
I'm aware of it.
Okay, good. Season 3, and we have a very important guest with us today. And I'm going to put this out there now so they don't bring it up later in the show. Whatever they talk about age, just disregard all that thing that they will talk about. It probably might come up, they just have this way of bringing up things that don't really make sense sometimes. So we're going to stick to the script. But Miss Nakishma Rogers, how are you, dear?
I am well.
You're
I'm
well?
nice to be here and familiar faces. This
Okay.
is my
Hey.
former classmate.
Good.
Also, I can't.
No.
This
you
is
can't.
my former PSHE teacher.
I know, we didn't even last 2 minutes before you ended that.
You see, you did that to yourself.
Okay, so I got it out of the way.
We just cleared it. Yeah.
We just cleared it, yeah. Yes. I tend to be outnumbered in this room.
Big up OFO. Just
Big
a
up
shout
OFO.
out to our
See, I know I had a start, I so know I would have
big up to
started.
our year group.
Okay.
It's the best to ever
After
Do it.
the best to have ever done it.
After 2000.
And we're going to leave that right there.
You see how we going on that road?
Quick, fast, no hurry. So we are very pleased to have Nakishma with us today. And Nakishma is here representing...
AEP,
What's that?
the Angola Enhancement Project.
Okay, we're gonna deep dive into the Angola Enhancement Project. For those of you watching on camera, you can see Gleneva is nicely clad, on brand, her progress report shirt. I'm here in my Nirvana tee, and I just came from a little situation actually. A little situation in Island Harbour, dealing with some sargassum.
Okay.
A little situation that I think AEP kind of like caters to, not the sargassum, but community beautification.
I should have had my AP shirt on, but I'm in a yellow house state of mind.
That's what that is, because I was watching Ivan as he said about his Nirvana, and I said,
it's the
is
touch
it
of
because
yellow.
it's yellow?
Bobo.
I feel completely discriminated against, but as we
You sound
sit,
like a Purple
as
House
we-
person.
Of course I am. Royal and proud.
It's my condolences.
I know.
As you sit here in 4th place. Let's go. And
Listen.
14 points away from a house with the most wins, more than double the second house
Imagine.
in the 35 years of the competition.
Imagine.
there you go.
Preach.
Yeah.
Let's get this out of the way, man. We got some.
Let's say this, because it's gonna be a little bit confusing for our listeners and viewers. This is recorded prior to Sports Day, this is being recorded
right
immediately after
road race.
Road race.
An excellent one at that.
And let
Yes.
me tell you, it will have no impact on the final result.
None.
So we look forward to
Yellow House securing its 16th win.
2023
Champions.
we'll have you back.
All right, back to the matter at hand, right?
Yes, let's get into
it. So I was just saying, I just came from Island Harbour. They're doing some cleanup there with the school. And driving through, we're coming to tape. I remembered that Island Harbour won this coveted Village Award.
In the debut year, yes.
In the debut year, and then it's now in Sholby. I see that you're moving west.
I know what's the direction.
But here's what. I think I want to let Nekishma kind of give some background on AEP, how it started, because I know that she is a founding member and currently the president of AEP. I want her to give some background, and then I want her to explain how it's not going to only just move west, but it might skip some places along the way.
And end up in Georgia.
No, it's
like where you're going with that.
No, it's going to skip some places.
And you know what? Just so you know, the best village competition is just one aspect of what we do in AEP. And we're trying to tap into that tribalist spirit that exists in Anguilla. Okay. Anguillians are very competitive, as you can see just from this casual conversation. And I felt like if we tapped into that natural aspect of our culture, that we could get people to be involved in improving their own villages in an attempt to be able to say, I'm the best village in Anguilla.
Right.
So to secure that, the bragging rights, and have something to show. So it's not just bragging rights, you have a bragging symbol.
Right.
And we wanted it to be something very imposing, so that people.
No, it definitely is.
And I love it.
You can't miss it.
You can't miss it. I mean, given the fact that Jesus lives in Georgia, I know I can't wait for it to get.
Georgia has never registered for the competition,
and I could not wait for you to get to that point, Ivan, because we spoke about this.
Yes, we did. You see how I did that there?
You have to be in it to win it.
I plan to be in it.
Well, this year we did do automatic registration, so technically all villages are registered, but I'm more than certain that the villages that went through the process of organizing and registering, who are very affiliated with the AEP, who participate in our events, those are the ones that likely are going to win the different prizes. Because it's not just the main coveted prize. There are a lot of other mini prizes that we give out, like the cleanest village award, the most enhanced village award, the greenest village, which is like the most eco-friendly village.
I actually have been Georgia so far. Go ahead.
Yet they've never won.
Watch, we're gonna register, because that's what I want to get to.
Right.
So how do we register?
You have gone like way ahead. I think I am gonna start from the beginning.
Yes.
Because a couple things. When people hear, I'm glad people know AEP and they recognize the brand. I think for us, we have to now ensure that people understand the scope of what our objectives are.
Okay.
Because a lot of times they think cleanups and they think the best village competition. When this started was really after Irma.
Okay.
I happened to be off island, and I felt very helpless, like a lot of persons who are kind of disconnected from their families here, going through this traumatic, what I could imagine was a very traumatic experience. I mean, I think even the physical landscape went through a real trauma, because Anguilla, when I came back, it looked completely different. Not to say that Anguilla hadn't already been on a sort of a downward trajectory with regard to our aesthetic. It is in my view that we...
But you've said that for a while.
Yes, a long time. I feel like we didn't look the 5-star that we were marketing ourselves to be. But trust me, after Irma, it was like giving 0.5 star. We were really looking different as a country. And I felt like compounding that problem was the litter problem that we had been experiencing for some time. People just casually throwing basic litter around. So when you take the widespread devastation, the litter problem, the culture of neglect of the physical landscape, Anguilla really wasn't looking very nice. And so people were complaining on Facebook. And then one day, I responded to a post that Kenroy had up, because he's been really germane to the anti-litter campaign here in Anguilla. And people were just complaining. So I said, well, the only thing I can add to this post is a solution, because we've had the complaints covered, and the blame game and all of that. I remember coming up, Anguilla used to be really clean. Like, that's one of the things that we marketed ourselves on and we prided ourselves on. And the only thing I could really think of is that communities and the Parsons residents took real pride
Yeah.
in their villages. And then there was a beautification competition
Yes.
that took place. And it was, when I tell you, keenly contested back then. And back then, I think it was mainly for bragging rights. I don't even think they had a big monument to show off.
That's right.
That's
It's a
right.
monument.
Yeah.
It's not a trophy.
But those communities were more close-knit than we are right now. And that's a major stumbling block or obstacle that we're facing as an AEP with regard to getting communities back together for the purpose of having those bragging rights for their village.
I mean, I don't want to jump too far here, but I just think like this, and I'm gonna soon be out of the way because.
No, stay around. Stick around.
But you touched on something there, and I just want to know is one of the pseudo goals of the AEP to promote more, not necessarily community spirit. but-
Definitely, that's one of our individual awards.
Okay.
Community spirit. I think Sandy Hill won it the first year, and Stony Ground won it this last year.
So where's this stuff like? Because so I get myself in trouble because they leave even then tell me what to do. She just tell me. What
I
to
do think South Hill is going to be a really top contender this year
in terms of community spirit.
because they registered.
Okay.
So they're in it to win it. And I see a lot of organic, something that I used to see in South Valley a lot back in the day.
Yeah.
And that has dwindled, and now it's like South Hill. For example, they have a number of community groups.
Yeah.
And then they're very active.
Very
and they
active.
all have their niches, and they all support each other. That's
Yep.
the goal. The goal is collaboration over competition. And that's what we push. That's one of our mantras in the AP.
Okay.
Collaboration over competition. If we feel like we're going to clash with another organization, we prefer to pull out and support
Yeah.
if we can't collaborate. Because what's the point?
Good.
Yeah.
That's excellent because I think we need more of that. I think when those things start to happen, like you were saying, I remember growing up, Anguilla was clean, yeah. But I remember where the airport ends now, we used to go there and play cricket where the well is in George Hill. That used to always be cleaned out. Like,
So you just told on your age a little bit.
that's okay.
Because we can't relate.
You can't relate?
No.
Man, yeah, so the community between George Hill, Langgrung, Station Valley, Little Harbour.
It was knit.
It was
I
lit.
remember that. Because
We were one.
you remember our little class, the set of boys from that area, in our
yes,
class.
yes.
Okay, good.
It was one. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't see that anymore. I mean, people moved out with the airport development. You may have lost some people that have passed and those type of things. But the tenants are still there. And I think AEP is providing an opportunity for not just George Hill, but other villages
Yes.
to unearth these things because it's necessary. I feel if we start to go more into that, we're going to see some things subside in terms of the violence among our youth and all these type of things.
Yeah.
So that's why I said you have these pseudo goals. But I'm stepping out of the way with just one question, and I'm being serious.
Why are you stepping away?
Because trust you me. I know when you get talking, I can be just here in eye listening. That happens all the time. But is the plan for AEP to become like a regional focus, so to speak?
Our focus is Anguilla.
You focus on
Let me be clear.
okay.
If another group from a country says we want to replicate this in our country, we'd be happy to have them use the brand and branch out in that way.
Okay.
But my focus is this country.
Okay.
My goals are for this country. And while I went to a regional school, so I believe in regionalism, I'm big on it. When it comes to my national pride, though, it takes precedence in some ways. And the thing for me is that I think that Anguilla there's a lot of low-hanging fruit where Anguilla can really distinguish itself in the Caribbean. My aim, for example, is for Anguilla to be known soon as the most eco-friendly island in the Caribbean. We're well on our way there because of the plastics ban.
Yeah.
But AP is seeing in real time how we are embracing sustainability
Right.
as a people.
Right.
I mean, we have a high concentration of solar usage
more
on
to
the
come.
island, and I'm hearing good things about more to come. It's going to be revolutionary, and so we want to be part of the conversation. We want to educate people on the micro steps they could take in their daily lives to make, like, as a collective, it could have a big benefit, if not for the world on a whole, because we're just a small island. It could have a big benefit for Anguilla at least. So yeah, I'm focused on Anguilla.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, we are far from the goals that we've set for ourselves as an organization. We need to ramp up participation from community groups. We need to ramp up contributions from the corporate citizens of Anguilla, because they stand to benefit the most when we enhance Anguilla.
True.
I mean, if you have a restaurant in a village, but there's an ISO on the way to the restaurant, there's garbage everywhere, there's a lot of nuisance in terms of visual, that doesn't help. That doesn't help. So why not support initiatives and efforts to make the surroundings beautiful? Now back to the issue we're talking about with, like, community spirit. A lot of that has to do with lack of community spaces. So in the George Hill area, Little Harbor suffers a little bit from that too. There are no community spaces, so everybody's at their homes.
Facts.
So there's
See,
no.
we gone away from playing cricket down there in the hollow. That was all little gathering.
You need community spaces. That's where you have. That's where the meetings at the well,
Yep.
kind of. Green. So we are big on creating green spaces, and that's what we want to kind of push. We don't have the funding, but we have the dream. We just need the funding and the support and the participation to kind of back it up. But I think that would go a long way, identifying spaces within these various communities to create green spaces.
You'll see some of that.
Yeah, even though Anguilla is a small place, there's a lot of wastage in terms of land and resources. You'd be surprised.
You know, I hear people speak about wastage, and I'm gonna kind of go back a little bit. It isn't necessarily wastage as opposed to underutilized. And again, that is due to our cultural and
That's why I call it
Yeah.
wastage, because people would prefer to let land sit and rot than to allow people to use it for
Yes.
a benefit. And that's
in
because
that regard.
a lot of
yes.
ignorance is connected to attached to it too, because people have weird beliefs about, if I let you use my land, then you might take it. When the fact is, if you grant permission, I give a free legal advice now. Granting permission is one way to kind of neutralize squatters' rights, because you're exercising control by giving permission. So the act of actually permitting people to use the land would safeguard your land better than letting it sit there and people just going ahead and using it anyway.
Shameless plug.
The wrong people.
Shameless plug if you need some legal advice on your land.
On anything, actually.
on anything, but we're talking land now, because that's actually I'm gonna take that back, because I know of a situation where a family, they don't even live here, but they're refusing to let anybody use the land because they think they're gonna lose it, and they haven't been here in 25 years.
And then the wrong actors will go and use it, and because they don't live here and they don't have eyes here, those persons will have squatters' rights in a period of time, as opposed to literally giving permission. Because especially if you give it formally or where it's witnessed, you can say you've exercised. That's all the court needs to defeat squatters' rights.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That one was for free. See,
For free.
exclusive. Progress report.
I haven't lost an
I
exclusive.
love an exclusive.
I'm
All right, more
absolutely
exclusive.
lost one.
That's why I tell you stay away. That's where we get all this stuff. I'm here. I'm listening.
There we go. But just kind of going back and listening to some of what you've spoken about, and I know that you've now branched out into Club AEP.
Excited about that.
Yes, and so much.
You need to join, because Gleneva is a member.
Club
Card
AEP
carrying
is-
member.
Yes, it's literally a club.
Time out.
Yes.
What time you think I got to join?
What time
If I
do
found-
I have?
If I found time, you can.
I don't think I understand.
I do, actually.
We get it. It is about carving out.
I leave from
That's
here to
it.
go back to work.
Do I have obligations to show up to meetings and stuff?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the thing, and that's another thing that's affecting Anguilla right now in terms of activism, volunteerism. People don't want to make sacrifices. We're very self-centered as a people now. in general, the world over. It's not just an Angolan thing. Our social media and internet has, driven us inward, right? So we're not very willing to give of our time and ourselves. Our forebears were very much different. They were big on volunteerism, big on activism, big on jollification.
And I don't want us to go there as yet. Because there's a lot coming up
I'm done.
In that regard. But where I really wanted us to go was,
it's 1 hour, by the way. 1 hour. And there's a lot you could contribute in 1 hour to make big change.
2 hours a month.
2 hours a month. But even if you make one meeting a month, it's better than nothing at all. So 1 hour a month in an organization that is really geared towards making a difference in Angola, I think it's worth your while.
I'll say this as a recent member.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm being recruited.
Yes, that's right.
As a recent recruit of Club AP, I must say I am very much impressed with the way that Club AP is run. If I send a message to say I'm going to be 10 minutes late, you better believe that I have missed 10 minutes of that meeting. This is not one of those clubs where you're going and you're there all day. So when she says 1 hour of your time, it is 1 hour of your time.
And we wrapped in 48 minutes last time. And it was one of our more productive meetings.
Yeah.
So it's like we go there. The point of Club AP is because it was too much for the 5 ladies that really launched the nonprofit. Although they were founding members in the very, very beginning who got the concept together, in terms of the execution of the Best Village competition and all of that, that was done by a 5 female steering committee. All of it. Club AP was launched in November of 2022. So prior to that, everything that you see took place was really just 5 people.
Can you give a shout out to your founding members?
So we have the founding members who came up with, we had Ken Roy Hobart, myself. We were the ones that sat and came up with the skeleton for this setup. And then we brought a couple other people onto the table to help us. Okay. At that time, it was Raquel Hodge and Myra Massad with us. Okay. Now, we went dormant for a while. The idea sat there. Like a lot of things in Angola. That happens a lot. We just sometimes lack the resources to make our dreams come true. But then I said, no, we need to get active. And COVID presented an opportunity to make people freeze in time.
It was a great reset.
You can't walk, so you can't use work as an excuse. People were doing a lot of yard work. I said, this is the time. So we launched in 2020, right off the back of COVID.
Perfect.
With people home, doing a lot of yard work, etc. And that team, that is the real critical team. Myself, again, Myra Massad was with us. Louise Faye, Misha Richardson, Isabel Curtis at the time. She's now in school. And so she's been replaced by Christine Irish. And Shamika Hodge has joined as a VP. And Kenelva Brooks has recently joined. Since Club AP launched, she joined as our executive secretary. And those girls work really, really hard. But the club on a whole is filled with a lot of talented people.
Yes.
How many men?
At the moment, registered. Because registered versus active, we're trying to recruit more men. At the moment, I would say we have about 3.
Yeah, I tend to see about
active members. Yeah. Males.
And I'm encouraged because they're young males.
Yes.
Young men.
But the club is small itself because we just launched in November. We're trying to introduce proper club structure to a country that's not really used to rules and structure in some respects. So
yeah, we don't use indicators here either.
So the idea of having a fixed time to show up to meet on a specific purpose, making sure that you follow the bylaws so that your membership is active, that type of thing, it's new for people, but we're helping them along the way. Our Shamika also doubles as our club operations chair, and she's done an awesome job with keeping us on track. Awesome. I'd like to shout her out. She's been an amazing support. Okay. Yeah. So join. I'll send you a form, a link. And yes, join. That's one of the ways you can support AP. If you can't donate money, or you can't sign up for the Best Veg competition through your own community group, you could just join the. If it's easier to do that, just join the club. We'll find work for you to do.
See that?
When you spoke about, when we were growing up, and I'm always reminded, as much as we make fun of Ivan as to his age,
Don't go down that road.
I am reminded that we are
Over the hill.
not where we used to be.
Over the hill.
I like
And
that framing.
Yes, we're not where we used to be, and so when we were younger, was quite some time back, and
Again, thank you for that
things
framing.
things have changed, and we've seen cultural shifts.
Yes.
Ivan
Demographic
changes
shifts,
as
yeah.
well. Without saying, without pointing fingers, let me put it this way. I've had the opportunity to visit a number of our neighboring islands. And one in particular stood out, and we have a huge demographic of persons there. And there's a cultural aspect to that country that I see being translated here that I know that we want to curb. How much does education, and I think it starts at the school level, at the your child can come home and tell you, Mommy don't do X, Y, and Z because Daddy don't do X, Y, and Z. And so when you want to push a certain message, it is better to start at that age. How is AEP incorporating that message into the schools?
So from the very beginning, we've done school tours. So we did a school tour in 2021 following our launch. And then we did another school tour in 2022. We collaborated with the Department of Natural Resources to do the school tour and promotions for World Cleanup Day. Like I said, we believe in collaboration over competition. So that's one aspect. That's where we've started. We've also done talks at the Environmental Club at the Albina Lake Arch Comprehensive School. The school tours with the primary schools. We've also done Omalulu as one of the private schools. In the club that we've just launched, we've identified a Young Innovators Committee. We just had a chair, Claudelia Senhouse. She's the chairperson of that committee. What I hope and what I envision for that committee is that, one, they recruit young people into the club itself directly. As part of our bylaws.
What's the age range that persons can join the club?
16. And the membership fee, which is already very, very small, $20, is waived for persons between the age of 16 to 21. So you can see we really are pushing to get young people involved.
Why 16?
Because we don't want to take away too much from the environmental club in the high school.
Gotcha.
Okay.
But we want to give them a home when they exit the high school system. If you have these ideals and these passions, this is a club where you can continue that.
And I feel like that's the lineage that you're going by. I wanted folks to understand that this is not just arbitrary.
No.
You're like you said, collaboration over competition.
That's right.
And when you make certain decisions, it's not that, I don't want them here, I don't want them
We
here.
don't want to benefit. We don't want to benefit if it means that we're going to
Kill something else.
Yes,
Right.
that's not what we're trying to do. And in terms of the primary schools, I would love if one day the Young Innovators Committee takes on as one of their tasks starting a junior chapter in the primary schools. That would be great, because then that's a direct funnel all the way up the line. We have established that big sister, little sister relationship with Environmental Club in the Albina Lake Arch Comprehensive School. So we consider them like a chapter of AEP, more or less. So for us, if we could get a chapter going in the primary schools, we have the Environmental Club in the high school, which is more specific. AEP is a lot more general than just environment. We are about aesthetics, we're about community spirit, we're about culture too. Jollification, that has always been one of our marquee events on our calendar, because we do have a calendar that we put out every year. And Jollification, in our debut year, Jollification was the event. It was the most participated in. It was the one that was covered by in Angola. We literally went across around the island and we streamed the various jollification events happening live. Island Harbor won it 2 years in a row. Best jollification.
Let me ask a question before you go into
ahead.
jollification. So, I'm of the opinion, and I may be wrong, but then, I mean, it's just my opinion. I think an organization like AEP needs to have representation on committees, boards, and decision-making authorities where, for instance, housing is concerned and licensing. Here's why I'm going to say that. And I pointed out this to somebody the other day. I used to brag about George Hill. Roundabout to roundabout. All we had was Kegg's Palace and what it named there down by the tire shop on the other side of the road. We had 2 bars. Roundabout to roundabout now. You got a bar after you pass the little eatery there on the south side, the shawarma place. Then there was a bar down there underneath the kids' store. There's a bar now. I don't think the bar underneath the kids' store anymore. There's a bar now right there when you're coming out from Ireland, where Ireland.
You have a number?
Counting them, keep going. Then there's one across the road, another one across the road. You pass the stoplight, there's one right after the stoplight. There's one after you pass the thing after the stoplight. Then there's one on the opposite side. It's annoying.
So I have a question, and this is why I like this.
Is it annoying though?
It is extremely annoying.
Or are we not capitalizing properly on it? Because
how?
different villages will, for a national effort, different villages will make different sacrifices.
That's not a sacrifice we're willing to make.
Well, who knows?
There've been some legal matters around this.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, but at some point, Angola is going to develop to the point where we are zoned in a certain way.
Right.
Would that eventually become a lightly residential or non-residential area, favoring like a strip?
But there's no parking.
Maybe something resembling our Oystins. Angolians are very lazy, and there's no parking in a lot of countries. People walk from parking spots and parking lots and parking garages to the event.
Yeah, I know. I've done Oystins. I've done all that stuff.
Culturally, we
are not a walking people.
Very averse to walking short distances.
Very
on account of parking.
She said short distance.
Because
Juve will walk one day morning.
That's it.
But I said specifically for parking. Angolians will circle 5 times to get what they consider the closest possible parking spot. They'll miss the event, but they have a good spot.
Have you been stalking me?
We know each other. We know
it is what it is.
It is what it is. But before we go a little later, my thing is I think those things are a bit overbearing. Because
if you're sharing space with
it's 15 feet between some things. So you can imagine the noise. You can imagine, if you're talking about aesthetics and stuff, I mean, like, I'm not saying that everywhere need to be peaceful and serene, but at the same time, like...
It's a busy roadway.
That's it for me.
So is it prime for residential?
It's been residential.
But is it prime? Is it prime? Because we gotta look forward. That's the thing with Angola.
And again, and this comes right back, Ivan.
Is Sandeground prime for residential?
I would never touch Sandeground.
I ain't no politician, so I don't care. I can ask questions.
I ain't no politician either, but I would never touch what Sandeground is good for.
What is it good for?
The pandas give me a good walk. 2 laps, 4 miles.
But what I'm saying, there's potential in spaces that we don't see yet. And you have to be future minded. And that has been a problem we've had here in Angola.
And so to tie this into what we have been saying for the past few episodes, when we speak about a national development plan, and I keep bringing it back to this, when we speak about a national development plan, we have to consider things like this. Are we going to be doing zoning? Are we going to be dedicating certain areas to certain activities?
Which will be beneficial for the businesses. So if you dedicate an area, everybody benefits because that becomes the area, right, for that type of activity.
Yes.
And everybody benefits.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm saying this because, I mean, I've had some persons from certain locations say, don't touch that. So we're not advocating
Yes.
for
No.
any particular
No.
able to be anything, but I think it must be
We're just
an-
asking questions.
questions, and we must be able to have the discussions in a respectful and mature way that we are able to say, this is what I want Anguilla to look like in the next how much ever years.
Because as
and
a
how do
club,
we achieve
we
it?
stopped targeting George Hill because I just don't see. It's going to be so hard to mobilize the residential population in George Hill. They're so disconnected from one another. They're not any spaces as far as I'm aware. I would love to see it happen. It was registered in the first year, but like I said, it was deregistered after a while because nobody really, other than just the initial registration, nothing happened. And I understand why. There are some villages that are going to have it so much harder than others. There's some villages that are going to have it so easy. In my opinion, a village like South Hill, Island Harbour, they have it easy. These are villages that are known for organically
Yes.
organizing and mobilizing. South Valley used to be very much to the top. I think the valley as a whole, even though it has decreased a bit, there's still a prime area for that type of community spirit. I think Northside has been registered for this year, but nowhere else in the valley has been. We really want to see some of these prime spots. Santa Ground, the valley,
I have a question.
register for the competition, getting involved.
When we speak about the valley, if we think about the valley proper,
Oh, we don't, that's not a competition area.
but I have a question about that. Why not? Can't the businesses themselves come together and say, we are going to do
Take
this as-"
responsibility for
Yes.
that area. We would hope, and we've encouraged it. And when we want to do projects as a club, we want those non-competition areas. So, for example, and I'm going to segue a little bit into jollification. So, jollification is slated for the 2nd of March. We recognize that on the AEP calendar. We've always recognized it on the AEP calendar as National Jollification Day. And it's Ronald Webster's birthday, and it's a nice way to kind of revive the spirit of jollification and a cultural aspect that has died, that we're trying to revive. And it's the idea that not for money, not for profit, just for the sense of community, you come together for a single purpose. Most times back then it was to build a house. But now I feel like we can adapt that jollification spirit to anything. Anything that's community centered, any type of project, developing a green space.
Right.
And so we're celebrating that again this year. Initially, we had intended to do a big project in that non-competition area in the valley. A number of things kind of got in the way. The recent internet blackout didn't really help with our plans, and so we decided to postpone that project for an opportunity that's going to be coming up later in the year that we're really excited about, to collaborate with a group out of the US, a big group. And what we've decided to do instead is support a jollification flea market that's taking place in the area of TJ's Cafe on the 2nd of March. And we're hoping that we can participate as a club, have a table. We're hoping club members donate items that we could then use to sell and raise funds. But the idea is that you're giving freely, either of your time, your stuff, your whatever. That's what jollification is all about. And yeah, I mean, I want to see Anguillians become just more...
Anguillian.
Yeah. And invested in the things that will benefit us in the long run.
But that's something that we touched on before, and I think for those just picking up the show, that's something that we have to get back to, because a lot of what we see now isn't that brilliant, if you're being honest.
Like, for example, just my involvement with AP and just my desire to see things change, because I've never been somebody that just believes in talking about problems. I like to fix things. That's just a part of my personality.
AKA a rebel from school.
Right, solution oriented. That's my way of framing it.
AKA a rebel.
But just me wanting to do that, we've become so suspicious as a people. I can't stop hearing that, you know, I'm running for politics, and I know that it's connected to my involvement and my community activism. I'm like, that's so strange that people don't think that you could just
genuinely.
But didn't you walk road race? I don't even remember you running.
I used to walk road race.
Yeah, she don't run. No, people, she don't run.
No,
She ain't running.
I'm not. No, but it's certainly, if I would hope that even people that have political aspirations, if they have them, I don't have any. But even if you have them, I would hope that that isn't your sole reason for getting involved with your community. It should be, I'm sure you know that if you're going to be involved, that
It's expected.
is the way. Yeah,
Yes.
it's expected. And and I'm proud to say that most of the politicians, if not all, from all political divides, have been very supportive of our efforts.
Yeah.
All of them. I think all.
Yeah.
All of them have, in some way or another, contributed to what we do. Some of them are directly representatives for different community groups and different villages, and some of them donate, some of them sponsor prizes. I mean, they've all been on board. I've seen, and this is what I want to get out, and this is what I want AP to accomplish, that there are areas where we will naturally disagree. Politics is one of those areas where you naturally will have a divide. But there should be certain sacred things where we naturally unite.
Yes.
And in caring for this physical landscape and our culture and preserving it, that should be an area where we naturally unite. And I've seen in one of our jollification projects, I've seen two politicians recently oppose each other in a very heated campaign, working at the same community project. They were developing the community center in that area, built benches, cleaned the area. They had food, they had merriment. They probably didn't hug each other, but the fact that they both got there, woke up all in the morning and walked towards that effort to develop their own community. I mean, that's what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
That is what you want.
And I think that's important as well. And it speaks to, when we speak about Anguilla Enhancement Project, I know that it is about the aesthetics, as you've spoken about, but there are so many byproducts of that. Ivan, you mentioned it. It's about that community spirit. It's about.
But that's how you enhance the country.
Of
Enhancement
course.
isn't just physical or aesthetic. The girls would kill me. I have a whole sustainability officer that would murder me. But also, I don't have any background in environment, and I don't know anything about sustainability. I have somebody specific for that. You know, I am big on culture though. I'm big on community activism. I'm passionate about those things. So I bring that aspect to AP. At least I hope I do. But we want to enhance Anguilla holistically.
Yes.
On an environmental level, cultural level, aesthetic level. We just want to be the premier island, the best. We want to be able to say that and say it with our chest.
And on that note, yes. We speak about aesthetics, we speak about prizes, and I know that we've spoken about that monument that is now in Sholby that's going to make its way to West End.
Hey, West End is coming
Hard, strong, you know.
and relentless. And their main motivation is that they're really annoyed that they lost the Cleanest Village Award.
Very much so.
They were not happy.
So how they gonna get it to West End? Cause they're gonna stop in Georgetown for a year.
We're going to bypass there. I'm sorry, it's going to bypass.
We gonna have this conversation. We gonna come back to this.
Yeah.
I
Come
don't
back to
know.
it.
I don't know.
But
I don't see it for George Hill. George Hill
Watch.
has a tough... Because to be the best village in Angola.
So
You can't just perform well in one area. It's gonna require
I could tell you how
big
to.
effort.
I can tell you how to do it.
no, I don't want you to
But
try to do it because
it's
I'm
going
doing
west.
it now. Here's what I am doing. It is very medium. I'm lighting the fire.
Okay.
That's all that needs to happen.
To
in
tell the
Jargin.
people in Jargin to wake up.
You don't do it for me.
Okay.
You just tell them that you don't see them doing it. What you gonna see a thing? That's all. That's all Jargin people need.
Not that I don't think they're capable.
I know,
think they have
I
more
know.
obstacles than some of the other villages that
Keep
have
going.
it easier.
You keep going.
Yeah.
That's right. We keep going west.
Because there is a big litter problem, and it's not the fault of the village. They just have to. They struggle with the fact that they have the busiest highway in Angola.
They should cover down the trucks when they turn down the hill to go Carrito. But that's a different story.
But,
Back to you.
But your village is the one when the judge is going around. They don't see the trucks. They just see the little basic.
I understand, but keep going.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job.
I doing a good job getting the fire light.
You ain't
Yeah.
got
Lit.
no idea.
Rahil has also impressed me in recent times.
I think you're almost going to where I wanted to go, which is that in addition to the monuments, there are also things that we do, that you do, to enhance.
You
That-
can't
that-
say that.
that-
You can't sit with us yet.
Not yet.
You got to sign up.
that AAP does to enhance and to show you get more than bragging rights.
Definitely.
You get something
We try
more.
to give the community something valuable.
What do they get?
So in Island Harbor, obviously that monument was a big work of art. We delivered a little late. We wanted to get that to them a little earlier than we did, but everything worked out perfectly because we were able to give it in such a big forum, which was Festival Del Mar, which is the biggest event in Island Harbor. So they lost about 2 months with their prize, but they won it in a way that was very impactful. But just as a consolation for giving it a little late, we gave them a mural on the wharf. The wharf is a big area of community gathering in Island Harbor, has always been, even when it was the floating things, because I was raised in Island Harbor. That area for us is a big area. The pond is another one. Island Harbor has a lot of community spaces, and Island Harbor is a community that naturally, organically organizes, very organically.
Every morning.
Right. Right. Yeah? So we wanted it there to just, this is where they gather, this is our gift to you. So now that building, that little engine building that sits on the wharf, is a beautiful mural where you can go and take a picture. It is the first installment on our mural map. Then, Shoal Bay, they won Most Patriotic Village because we do a mini competition in May, which is our national month of patriotic pride. And we tell our villages, show us your colors, like show us how you show Angolan pride. And Shoal Bay did a beautiful job. They did a beautiful display on their roundabout, and so they won. And what did we give them? We gifted them a mural that depicts a boat racing scene. It's it's an interactive mural, so you can literally poke your head out and be part of the picture. Another unique feature is that it has all the national symbols featured.
Saw that.
Yeah.
Did not realize that.
Yes, the white cedar
A
tree,
lot of thought
boat
went into
race,
that
and
one.
yes, that's what we.
A whole lot of thought.
Yeah.
went into it.
And Carmel Gums was the artist. Emily Garlick did the one in Island Harbor, Mural 1. Carmel did Mural 2. We just completed Mural 3 in Rahil. That was their prize for most enhanced village.
Okay.
So there's a beautiful piece in Rahil that is also interactive. And you can go in.
This is where I was going with the.
Weston is next, by the way.
This is where I was going.
Beam with pride.
It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. This is where I was going with it actually, because I know one of the, and it's something that recent conversation, but it's something that we talked about for a while, at least from the government, and in terms of our tourism product. You go to Belize, it's not just the hotels that you see. You have key places that people want to visit.
We
Take
call
a
them
picture.
man-made attractions, and
Yes.
it's a criteria in the competition criteria.
Good. Right now, we see everybody stopping in Joshua in the middle of the highway to jump out and take picture of the angular sign there in the middle of the road.
Very unserious. I've never done that.
It's very what?
Unserious to jump in traffic and do that.
You can't tell the folks coming here that don't see nothing like that anywhere
Right.
else not
That-
to do it.
yes.
The guests stop their taxis. Taxis stop traffic, they go in and take their picture there. They stop their rental cars, and I've been trying to pull in.
But it sounds like an extreme sport. I wouldn't do it. But again, yes, you enhance the physical landscape.
Right.
That's what we want to do.
We need more of that. And I'm happy that you're doing the murals and what's not. And I'm hoping that through this
Well, I don't want to get too far ahead, but
exclusive.
it is. So for Little Harbor, we're not gonna do a mural. We're gonna do an enhancement piece, like a attractive piece. Because Little Harbor, what we try to do, we don't like to be wasteful. So if we're gonna do a mural, we want to rehabilitate a building or enhance it in some way. I would not go and create a canvas to then go paint on it. That's wasteful. It's not sustainable. So we want to take a building that would otherwise be ugly or not attractive and make it attractive. That's what we've been doing. So in Little Harbor, there's not a lot of unattractive spaces or canvases.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
You live in Little Harbor?
We're the Glow community.
So we're gonna do an enhancement piece, and we're hoping that it's a nice centerpiece, like a similar to what you see on the entrance to is that a little Station Valley? I need to get it right because people in that area are very territorial.
Yes, we are.
And they want you to know. So
that's the holler.
One of the best things about our debut jollification day was that while we were going around to the various villages, we saw this big commotion in Station Valley. And we were like, what's happening here? So someone called and told us, there's another jollification happening. We were like, these people didn't register, we never heard about this, but we're going to stop anyway. And that was just a huge family that decided to take their holiday and clean that area. That is what jollification is all about.
But this is why I'm telling you.
And they uncovered a well, a very deep well, one of the deepest in Anguilla, in the process. Which, of course, should be some type of landmark or a spot where you could, when you tour the island, these are the things you want to go and sightsee. And they uncovered it.
We know it's there. It's just like it
was very hidden. There was a lot of
because remember I talked about all and this is real life stuff. But you don't understand how high the fire blazing right now. You know you cable turning this thing. And
I see potential. So they gave the first step. But if they were registered for the competition and they won something, we could have used our resources to help develop it further into like a green space, get the relevant permissions, etc. And add something, maybe a bench, a swing, and then continue adding until it's a proper green space.
It's coming.
It's coming.
I can guarantee you.
But I think, Ivan, where you were going with that is one of those structures, those beautified structures that I see all throughout the Caribbean. I have pictures of myself at one. I've been to at one in the BV. I've been to one in Belize. I think there's one in St. Kitts. You see those big...
I wouldn't ask or task our villages with trying to pull off something like that. I would more want to leave something like that to government or a government agency, and I'll tell you why.
Actually, that's why I was pointing it his way as opposed to
and that's
but we could do many supporting stuff, obviously, that makes Anguilla a lot more interesting.
Where would you say is a good place for that?
Ivan,
I do that.
I don't want to get stoned.
The thing is that I've already heard this. It's already been out there in the public. So just go ahead and say it.
Just tell us it's Backstreet South Hill. No?
What?
Where?
Okay.
Exclusive.
And this isn't coming from AP.
Whenever we get into these discussions, I always get... I can call Ken Ryan name because he always telling me...
But he was Backstreet.
He thinks South Hill is the best village ever.
Yeah.
Until he moves to Island Harbor, and then he's gonna say that's the best village ever, and then he's gonna support both villages. It's gonna be interesting.
But he ain't moved there already yet.
I think I don't know.
Yeah, let's leave Ken Ryan.
Yeah, but
he called me
and me.
yeah,
but I do agree with him that overlooking Sandringham, prime real estate.
It is. It is.
No comment.
I have a question, and this is not necessarily AP, but we are on the topic of just natural areas of beauty on this island, and spaces that persons tend to flock to utilize for that Instagram worthy picture, and how we enhance that. And Ivan, this is more to you because I have heard something, I don't know where and when I heard it. And again, this is home for me. The Arch in West End is a space that is highly trafficked. And I must say, I went there just the other day and I noticed it was littered
I heard that.
with garbage, and it broke my heart. And I was like, what is this? And I think maybe 2 days after I saw that, then I heard that there's going to be some enhancements to that area, so that, but it's all private property. And again, going back as we wrap up in full circle to where we started, how do we encourage persons who's not utilizing their lands?
And
So give permission to use them, especially for things that are these
I know Angola has
national landmarks.
Angola has such a deeply traumatic and chaotic relationship with land that I don't know how to unpack that in one session. I don't know what it is, but people are very much.
so
It's what makes us who
it makes us who we are.
It's what makes
We
us
could be who we are in a different way, I hope, because we need to.
It's a little bit of letting go.
You could exactly. You can own your land, exercise ownership over your land, and still be a patriot, still be somebody who contributes to the development of your island and have the pride to say you did, as opposed to being a land grouch who goes down as
what we
hindering
don't-
development.
You know what we don't do here? And I can speak as plainly as possible. Only now we're getting in the habit of celebrating each other.
Right.
And that's part of the problem. I don't think people have a problem necessarily, not all, some have a problem giving it up. But think about it.
And we need to celebrate those landowners who freely do.
Here you go.
We need to, because there are people that do
There are
that.
people that do,
And
but
need
you
to
don't
celebrate
hear
them.
about it. So if I'm going to give something, I want somebody to give something. I want it to be the next Bethany as well. I want it to be the next this, whatever that.
We were trying to put down a prize in a village, and there was this prime area. It's not being used for anything, but it's so well positioned that anybody on the road will directly see it, and it would be such a nice conversation piece for the village. And just to take up like a little square to rest the mini prize thing, I was like, okay, how do I benefit? Is what the landowner said. How you got some money for me? And you're saying this to a non-profit organization that's literally volunteering their services to make your country better and your village better. Yeah. And it just seemed so reductive to me and regressive. And I want better for us as a people.
I think you're heading in that direction, though. Because, truth be told, the young people like myself don't think like that.
No, we think different. Oh, God, yes. And I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about people who are fading. I want to spend time talking about the people who are blossoming and are going to contribute well to this country. The people who are fading are the...
She's been doing this since she was wearing...
I bite a bit. I thought that this was a very tame interview, actually, where I'm concerned. The people that we're going to mourn all the losses. But for some of those that are fading, we're hoping that some of the bad aspects of our culture fade with them, and we replace them with new ones that are beneficial to this country, beneficial to our well-being as a people.
I agree.
Because, listen, there is scientific evidence. I like to get evidence-based because Anguillians like to traffic in propaganda a lot of times. Not all the time, but a lot of times. So I like to be evidence-based in my...
You're doing that steering tingling, Eva.
Yeah, so I bite sometimes. But yeah, there is scientific evidence that your environment, your physical environment, the cleanliness of it, how beautiful it is, directly impacts how good your day is,
your mood,
how
your
happy
health.
you are, your mood,
Yeah.
your literal health. So this is literally for you. It is in your best interest. When you leave your stressful job and you're very annoyed, you want to traverse a beautiful space, because by the time you get to your house, you'll be in a better spirit to deal with your kids, to deal with your family, and to just deal with yourself.
Listen, there is so much truth in that. I will say thankful and blessed for where I live.
Yeah.
In that there's a reason why we have been cleanest village and greenest village, and soon to be best village.
The nerve.
And I'm gonna say it. No, but I am thankful for where I live, and I said this just today to someone. I said, I have made it a mission of mine that no matter where I live in Anguilla, I must be able to see the sea. And the reason for that is because when I get home and I look at the sea, whether it is rough, and we know that Meads Bay is one of the most bipolar beaches on this island, whether she is rough or calm or just having a glorious Meads Bay day, getting up in the morning and looking out, coming home at night and looking out there, it is one of the most calming things that I experience. It definitely is my, what's that we have? Our moments of mindfulness,
Yes,
our
yes.
minutes of mindfulness. I really take the time to appreciate, and I don't know how many people really appreciate what we have here. When you've lived in places where you don't see the sea, where you don't get to see what we have, I don't know how many of us take it for granted what we do have. And so I'm hopeful that with AEP and the projects that we have coming on board, that we find a way to appreciate what we have and then to enhance what we naturally have. I know we are almost out of time, but Nakishma touched on something that I wanted to give you an opportunity to expand on just as we wrap up. There are a number of ways in which persons can give, whether it's of their time or their resources, to AEP. Is there a way that if there's someone listening, because we do know that this program is aired everywhere, it's on radio, it's on TV, it's on
Now she tells
your
me.
your podcast everywhere, it's on
Everywhere.
YouTube, it is everywhere. If there's someone out there who's listening, who loves Anguilla, and they're thinking, how can I give of some resource that I have? How can persons do so?
So
Specifically monetary
for people
resources.
that don't have, well, I was about to say, if you have the money, this is a good place to put it, because we put every dime to work. And because we are a nonprofit, the artists that we hire to do art, or the people that we work with, they are more likely to give us bang for our buck, given the fact that we're a nonprofit, as opposed to some agency of government or somebody else trying to do it. And so we've had some fruitful talks with ATB. We're hoping that that will bear fruit. But we want to really make an appeal to the business community, because unless we write specifically to businesses, we hardly get responses. And if we send out, let's say, 20 letters or requests for funding, we may get like 5 responses. For the sponsors that we have had, I can't list them all. I know that some have been with us from the beginning and are still with us. NCBA is one of those sponsors that started with us, still with us, and we want to encourage all the sponsors that have worked with us in the past and currently to stick with us. But we want to see more people come on board. There are big projects we could do together. We have the ideas and the expertise, and we know the lay of the land because we work with the community groups, so we know where to send those funds, where to direct those funds. We have our NCBA online banking where people can transfer money directly to our account. It could be a EC dollar. It's going to be utilized, and it's going to be utilized for the good of Anguilla. We do have a GoFundMe. You can go on our Facebook or Instagram to get that information. And we have, if you don't have the monetary resources or the financial wherewithal, you can give up your time. And that's important. Whether you join the AEP, which Ivan is going to do in short order, and become a card-carrying member, you can join your local community group or start a community group, because it would be good for every village in Angola to have a community group, or for a set of small villages to join together as a community and create a community group.
The way that the Cove, Long Bay, and West End have joined together. I like to put that out there because we're not just one village.
For the purposes of AP and the judges, they've zoned them as one community.
Because we recognize that we are small, and we are small in numbers, and so we have joined forces to become one.
Right. So if you can't give up your time directly to us as the AP by joining our club, join your local community effort. If you feel more comfortable maybe working with people that you're in preschool with or pitch marbles with, that's fine. That's how you give back. Because those community groups that are directly affiliated with us, they are the ones that keep AP alive. So we work with CORE from Stony Ground, Shoal Bay, and now in Northside. We work with the Island Harbour Initiative. We've worked with Inspire before. They're not active right now. We're hoping to work with them again in the future. Now the South Hill Community Group has come on board. Very excited about that because I've seen the things that they do. The Christmas activities, the pageants. I mean, imagine a community group pulling off a whole pageant when sometimes we struggle as a country to pull off a pageant. So it's impressive what they have going on down there, the Bush Boys and everything they have going on down there in South Hill. I think they're going to be a top contender this year for the competition. This is their first year registering South Hill, which is, can't understand why they waited so long. But anyway, I think that that's the way you can get involved. You either donate your time or donate your money. Or when you see us, if you have a piece of land or a broken down house that you know you can't do anything with, tell us, hey, use it. Is there something you could do here? In Island Harbour, when they did their jollification event and they won best jollification, Valinda literally went to a community member and was like, hey, can I just use your plot to plant seeds for the whole community? And they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And they gave a whole plot of land. And then the older Island Harbour residents came and showed the babies how they used to sew. And back in the day, it was the string band came out. The men did the least amount of work that day, but they still contributed so meaningfully with the music and the merriment while we were out in the ground.
Is that not usually the case?
Listen.
He's outnumbered, guys.
Yeah, all the time. I'm accustomed now. But before we wrap it up, because this has been another excellent episode of Progress Report, but my mind has started getting rolling here, and I mean, just coming off of a Blue Week and all these things that we talked about prior to this show, something came to mind, runoff and those type of things, the whole conversation about sargassum and all these type of things. And then I was out on the boat with the Rezimbit folks recently, and we went into Little Bay, and I was told that there are about 50 boats in Little Bay some days, like when it's really, really busy. I mean, maybe this is a conversation for another time, but I just want to throw something out there. Like, these persons that come and use our resources, what are they contributing to? Is it just a cruising permit? What do they leave here to say that we can develop something there, so we don't have the water running off in Little Bay and then our turtles and what they enjoy disappears over time? There's long-reaching effects.
I don't want to comment too much on that because that's outside the purview of what we do. But what I would like for them to not leave is their trash in the sea.
Very much
There's
so.
way too much littering happening from our boats when we do maritime entertainment, which Angola is known for. By the way, it has become almost like our signature. But if we don't care for the resource that we are using for this entertainment and enjoyment, we soon won't have it.
That's where I was going, ladies and gentlemen. That is exactly where I was going.
It's the beauty of it that has drawn
everybody
our poker run is renowned. I brag about it wherever I go. There's no other replica of such a large sea-focused event anywhere else that I've seen. Just centered on boats and booties and beauties. Sorry, but I mean, it is a part. It has now become a part of our carnival experience and our carnival identity. But we have to entrench the awareness and education along with that, because it's not just Poker Run. People use the boat rides and stuff. They happen all year round, and that can become. Like I said. Culture is my passion. Entertainment is my passion. These are things I love. But what I don't want to see is you getting drunk and dumping your stuff over into the ocean. It is wrong. And it damages the resource that you're relying on for this entertainment. And so that your grandkids won't be able to have a poker run or a boat ride.
Yeah. I agree. And what I'm hoping is that even from a legislative standpoint, we can start to see some things that would address that.
Put some teeth.
Not just the bark. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another excellent episode of Progress Report. By the next episode, I'll be a card-carrying member.
That's right.
There you go. And
this is no peer pressure. No peer pressure at all.
It's good peer pressure.
Good peer pressure? Okay.
Yeah,
it's good peer pressure. But there's so much that you can do individually, collectively. Listen, get out, join. Even if it's just to pay your fee and then join your community group, because that $20 goes a long way.
It does.
You have no idea how far it can go. And this is just the start. I really, really honestly believe that this is just the start for AEP. When I saw you guys came out, I was like, this is going to work. Not just because who was behind the helm, but you could feel the passion.
Yes.
You could feel the passion.
Those ladies are very passionate, and there's so many skill sets in the AEP. And now in Club AEP, I'm just now waiting to tap into those skills, because we really know our launch was immediately before Christmas, and Grenades don't do nothing around Christmas time.
Yeah,
so now we getting to work as a club.
Yes.
And our first event, we're going to test run Jollification and see how that table goes at the flea market, Jollification flea market. That's where we're going to be starting. But I know now there may be more villages that come on board. We've seen this before. But as of now, I can confirm that there will be a Jollification event in Shoal Bay.
Yes.
And there will be one in West End.
Yes.
All right.
And so that walk for Best Village.
Ladies and gentlemen, before she shamelessly plugs West End Village one more time, that's a wrap here from us at Progress Report. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for the follow-up from this episode so we can know about the Jollification event, and we definitely, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat this, we're definitely gonna have the full AEP.
I would like to have my team here
at some point. We can do something on location.
That's right. Right at our club.
Let's do it. And on that note, this has been another excellent episode of Progress Report. Thanks for listening.